Welcome to Khmer Voices, where we shine a spotlight on the achievements of the Cambodian diaspora around the world. I'm your host, Wani, aka Vani. I'm excited to introduce you today to my guest. This Gon Khmer is making a splash in the fashion world. And the posts and her stories on Instagram, they are just so freaking hilarious. I don't know how many times I share them each week. I am talking about none other than Marie from Khmer ERA. In this episode, we talk about her upbringing in Phnom Penh and cultural duality. She didn't really question or think about that or reflect on it until she moved abroad, when people started asking her, where are you from? We cover her career in event management, and she shared how these experiences shaped her professional path. Obviously, covered the story behind the fashion brand Khmer ERA, how it came about, what was her inspiration, and she also touches on the importance of maintaining traditional craftsmanship in a modern world. And I really respect her answer for that. She's such a well-grounded young person. I'm very proud of her. I hope you enjoy this episode with Marie from Khmer ERA. Slay Marie, bonjour. Actually, it's bonsoir, right? Or how do you say it in German? Because you're in Germany right now.
Actually, I don't speak German, so...
No! Okay, we're going to get into that. Well, welcome to Khmer Voices. I'm really excited to have you on the show because as I saw an Instagram post. I can't even remember what it is because they're all so friggin' funny. But that's why I was like, you guys got to follow her. Her Instagram's so funny. And I'm enjoying your updates, but I'm also really liking your pieces. Do you deliver to Canada?
Yeah, we deliver worldwide. A lot of the buyers are actually from America, mostly Cambodian Americans, Australia as well, and Europe.
Okay, cool. So we'll get into that, but I actually want to introduce the audience to you, to the young Marie.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us, where were you born? Where did you grow up? Were you surrounded by Cambodians?
Definitely. I was born and raised in Cambodia to Cambodian parents, living in a world where we spoke both French and Khmer, because on my mom's side of the family, so they never left Cambodia. So they stayed during the war and after the war. But my dad's side of the family, they were political refugees in the 80s in France. So my dad and his siblings and my paternal grandma. Although all of them stayed since the 80s, my dad was the only one who came back to Cambodia alone in 95. A period where Cambodia needed rebuilding. So he came back home, he started his business, met my mom. So I was born and raised in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh, with my little sister. Most of my cousins actually all of my cousins from my dad's side of the family, they're still in France. They were born and raised in France. So it's kind of like we were the only cousins, my sister and I, from that side to have been born and raised in Cambodia, speaking the language and everything.
Okay, so
it was a bit confusing.
So you grew up around Cambodians, obviously, because you're in Cambodia. But you mentioned in your bio that you sort of like straddled these two worlds because you were in a French-speaking school.
Yes, my dad really wanted us to speak French, of course, because he spent 15 years there, and of course because of his family that is still in France. So he put us in a French school. At that time, it was the only French school actually at Descartes, and we were obviously surrounded within the school with French-speaking people, mainly French or French Cambodians. All of the classes, of course, were in French. And as soon as I left the school, then I would speak Khmer, obviously with Cambodians. Yeah. And then when I got home, then we would speak French. So it was changing between those two languages and those two bubbles of communities.
Yeah. Did you
literally every day
sense like a different culture between the school, like how you acted at the school versus how you carried yourself outside the school?
Yeah, 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 for sure. It's a bit difficult to say this because when you grew up within the French school, obviously you feel like you wanted to fit in, even though I was in Cambodia in my own country. But I spent most of my time, of course, at the French school, and all of my friends were speaking. We were speaking French together, so it's a bit difficult, to kind of find a place where I can like be both at the same time. And when I went outside of the school, of course, then I would interact in Khmer, but they will always speak to me in English first.
Is it because of the way you carried
Yes.
yourself?
Yeah, I think also the way I dress, and obviously when I am around my French friends, then they would assume I'm also a foreigner. So
Okay, so
yeah,
your
a
French
bit a
friends
bit
weren't
weird.
necessarily Khmer. They were international. Like they came from all parts of
They
the world.
some of them are definitely, yes, some of them are French, from France. Some of them, their parents were like my dad, coming back basically after being a political refugee in France. They came back to raise their children in Cambodia. So we would both be, switching languages and living between both worlds.
Uh-huh. Did you visit France growing up?
We went there almost every summer. My cousins were there, and I think my dad find it very important that I connect also with that part of the family because obviously I live in Cambodia. I'm more, let's say, close to the family from my mom's side. So yeah, we went every summer for like a 1 or 2 months actually
Oh,
for
wow.
during summer
Do you
vacation.
remember your first visit to France?
Yeah, I think it was 2008. I saw snow for the first time.
And where in
I
France
was
were
super
you?
excited. Actually, funnily enough, it was Toulouse. Toulouse is in the south of
Yeah.
France,
Were
and
you like just high up in the
I know.
mountains?
No, I think sometimes it snows.
Okay.
At least it snowed a few times when I was there. Super excited. I saw my cousins for the first time, and for the first time, it was a bit difficult because I had never seen them before, and for them, it's easy to say that I think that they would say, yeah, they're French,
Yeah.
and then I come in with my sister, and we're a bit like
Yeah.
confused.
How old were you? Do you
So we
remember?
were. I was 7, so I'm
Okay.
24
Uh-huh.
now. So in 2008, yeah, I was 7, and so we were still young, and it took a bit of time for us to be comfortable with each other and be friends.
Oh, wow. Did you speak like when you spoke French, was it different from theirs?
I think so, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think a bit different, and also because I don't necessarily consume French media because it doesn't not there's not many that comes through to Cambodia.
Mhm.
So everything I watched was Hollywood, was American shows. So I don't always get the reference of French slangs or something.
Uh-huh.
Um, yeah.
Did you so you mentioned like the identity struggle in one of your posts. Like did your friends in your school have the same sort of identity struggles as you?
I don't want to speak for them, but I think it's definitely a something that they at least like have felt
Yeah.
or have asked themselves this question. It's funny because growing up in Cambodia, you're in your own country, so it's like you don't really ask yourself where you're
Mhm.
from. You're already
Yeah.
there. I started asking myself this question when I moved abroad
Mm.
because then obviously people would ask me. I'm like, oh my god, I've never asked myself this question. Like, what am I?
Yeah.
Because everyone was kind of like me, speaking both languages every day, so we didn't ask ourselves what we should say or what do we feel more like. So when I started studying abroad, so after I got my high school diploma from the French school in Phnom Penh, I went abroad to study and to work for a bit, and this is when all the questions came in. I had to kind of structure my answer and not give a 3-minute answer. You know,
Yeah.
and it's a bit tough, because I consume a lot of American content. In America, when you say you're a Cambodian American, they don't assume that you're half white, for example,
Mhm.
because America is it's an immigrant
Yeah.
country. So when you say you're Italian American or Cambodian American, they don't ask this question. In Europe, though, because I'm based in Berlin, in Germany, and I moved around a bit, a few countries in Europe. But here, they always assume that I'm half white when I say I'm Cambodian French.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I could see that, especially with your features. But I understand where you're coming from. When I was studying
Hmm.
in Belgium, as we were talking before, we hit the record button. I would say that I'm from Canada when I was asked, right? And I wasn't.
Hmm.
I don't know. I didn't really get that question a lot growing up. I think because people just knew that I was from somewhere else, and they just assumed probably it was China or like Japan. Like nobody really knew Cambodia. We have a very small population here in Canada versus say the US.
Yeah.
And when I was traveling, I would get asked the question like, "No, where are you really from?" I'm like, "Well, I guess I'm from Cambodia, but I've never been there."
Yeah.
Yeah. So growing up, were you pushed in a certain path, or was your dad more? Your parents were they more like, "Oh, I'll let her explore"?
No, we grew up in an Asian household in Cambodia. It's of course they. I have to say they didn't push it to the extent where I felt like so closed off. Like they did allow me to have my own things going on. They didn't force me into a career or something, but they always were implicitly implying that you need to succeed and success is career.
Yeah. And was there a certain career
They
path that they
didn't.
wanted you to go?
Not
No.
really. Not really, but they're like, yeah, but nothing like arts or things that don't make money. That's what they say.
I find that that's a common thread. Like all us are all
Yeah,
our Cambodian parents want us to succeed, but like you don't really know what your options are aside from, doctor, lawyer, engineer, or teacher.
yeah, yeah. I was lucky that they didn't impose like a job
Mm-hmm.
title. They just like just something that makes
Uh-huh.
money,
Uh-huh.
right? So I remember when I was younger, they didn't allow me to have creative outlets, as
What?
in they didn't want to. Yeah, they didn't want me to do guitar classes or something like my friends were doing,
Uh-huh.
because they're like, yeah, learn another language, learn Chinese or something,
Well, something
something that
practical.
actually has, yeah, for them. So they didn't really want me to do any of that. But and then it's only with time that I kind of understood where they're coming from when they say this, because they lived through a war where they had nothing, so they built all of this, so that I don't have to struggle like they did.
Yeah. Yeah. What does your dad do,
Mm.
or what did he do in Cambodia while you were growing up?
So when he was in France, he got an electrician, like a certificate diploma, because obviously he was 12 when he got to France. So it's not like he did university or something. It was kind of a special certificate for
Mm-hmm.
electricity, to become an electrician. And then when he came to Cambodia, obviously when I said that Cambodia needed rebuilding after the war, and that's when it was easy for him to kind of like build his company in construction electricity. That's
Cool.
what his sector is. Mhm.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. What other struggles did you have growing up when you were in Cambodia? Because you mentioned identity. Well, actually, identity wasn't until later on. So, what kind of struggles did you have?
Yeah, so the identity crisis thing problem came after, but during Cambodia, it was more of a of will to wanting to be more French,
Mm,
because I was growing up within the French community, but I knew that I wasn't. Obviously, I never lived in France. I was not born in France, so I always felt like I didn't have this excuse to say, or that I not deserve, but that I could say that I'm both French and Cambodian, and not just in terms of papers or passports, but also culturally and just in terms of education.
uh-huh.
I didn't feel like I could say that because I didn't grow up in France.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, I tried to kind of really carry myself in the French community in a way that I would feel more like them.
Mm, mm. You speak English really well, but you never studied English like formally, aside from being in
We had,
university.
yeah,
So, how did you learn to speak English?
I was so in the French school. Obviously, the main language, everything was in
Mm-hmm.
French, maths, history. So actually, I cannot count. I don't count in English. It's weird. It doesn't sound natural to me, you know? I would speak English and I'll be like, yeah, in 1956,
Uh-huh.
like in
Uh-huh.
1956. I would never, yeah. So, yes, everything was in French. And we had, of course, language classes that are compulsory. And the second language that was compulsory was
Oh, okay.
English.
So you
So
did
we had
study
about
English.
like, yeah, yeah, yeah. It's mandatory and it's about 3 hours a week. And then we had optionally, we could choose Khmer.
Mm.
Because obviously they're not gonna tell the French people to just learn Khmer, you know.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I definitely took Khmer, but English was mostly I learned it through American media. There was a lot, all the cartoons, all the Cartoon Network or Barbies. I was really obsessed
Hmm.
with animation. And I think that's how I learned because all of our teachers were British and I ended up speaking like this. So I really think it's the media,
Yeah. Yeah.
all the YouTube and everything.
Right. Yeah. I'm curious because you speak English fluently, you speak French fluently, and I'm assuming Khmer as well fluently.
Yeah.
So,
I would say Khmer is my third best language. Like
mm,
I speak much better English than Khmer.
oh
That's for sure.
wow. Even though like weren't really immersed in the culture
See,
growing
it's
up,
weird.
that's insanity.
I know.
I want to get in your head. Like, what language do you think in? Because you count in French, but do you kind of jump
That's for
between
sure.
the two to, or the three? Do you jump between the three and use words that are more fitting in that language to kind of convey what it is that you're trying
Yeah.
to
In
communicate?
my head, practical vocabulary like counting and like scientific
Mm-hmm.
words, definitely in French because I did my entire education in French. English is more for work because I work in English in Berlin. So that's how my brain works. I think it depends on the situation
Mm,
and whoever I speak to, and then it carries over a bit later. But yeah, a bit difficult. If you talk to my friends who are also in between cultures like me, it would be very annoying because we do like a sentence with both
right.
languages. Yeah, yeah.
See, I can't. I'm asking you because I do speak a little bit of French, and then obviously like very little Khmer. But I remember though when I was younger, I would kind of mix Khmer with English because I wasn't fluent in
Hmm.
either at one point.
Yeah, I would say so. Actually, I don't know what people mean when they say native language, mother tongue. Is it the same thing?
I think mother tongue is the first language that you grew up learning, and then native language is it could be both, but native I associate it with being the language that you're strongest in. So my native
I
language would
see.
be
Yeah.
English, and then my
Uh-huh.
mother tongue would be
But your
Khmer.
mother tongue.
Khmer. Yeah.
See, okay. Because I always thought that sometimes I thought that mother tongue is your strongest language, but no,
No.
it's just the first
Yeah.
one. So if it's the first language, then for me also it was Khmer.
Yeah.
Because I started French school at 2 years old. I was in how do we say, where the kids go? Like they don't
Preschool?
really learn anything, but they, yeah, that,
Uh-huh.
yeah. I was in a French preschool, but before that, obviously, we're speaking Khmer.
Hmm.
My mom's side of the family, so my grandma and grandpa, we speak Khmer
Hmm.
because they never
Yeah.
left, right? So for them, I mean, I would always speak Khmer to them. So I did get to speak both languages, but because Khmer was not the main language at school, I don't use the technical words, or it's hard for me to talk about hard stuff like science or history and stuff. I don't have the vocabulary for it.
Yeah. Can you watch the news and fully understand it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
because
I
I
can
can't.
understand perfectly.
I cannot. Like the words they use just go above my head. That's my goal to understand Cambodian news. Yeah. So when you were growing up, I don't know because I feel like it wasn't until I was a teenager I started really questioning things. Right? Did you see like what were your thoughts with like living in Cambodia versus when you went to France? Like how did you feel about like seeing what was happening in Cambodia versus what you saw in France?
In terms of obviously not the war because I didn't live the
Yeah,
war, but you
no,
mean in
like it's
general?
social, just your everyday social and how people interact with each other. Because the class inequality is very prevalent in Cambodia, and you see it in France
Yeah.
as well, but it's sort of more sort of like, pocketed in certain areas. It's not like always in your face. Whereas I feel like in Cambodia, I haven't been there in years, so it's changed a lot. I've been told, but growing up, I imagine it was still rapidly developing then. How did that make you feel to see that there was like so much inequality and injustices with the people?
I have to say that when I went to France to visit my cousins, it was only for like a month or
Mm-hmm.
two during the summer, and then I wouldn't go every year, but we did go very often.
Mm-hmm.
And when we went there, we stayed within the Cambodian community
Mm-hmm.
within France.
Mm-hmm.
See, it switched.
Yeah.
It's so confusing. So I I didn't necessarily saw or got out there to see much
Okay.
of that part when I went to France. Now a bit more because I actually work for the French market in Germany. So I often travel to France, mostly Paris, basically every month. So now I get to see more, but Paris is super developed. It has nothing to do with, yeah. Cambodia, I was kind of
Mm-hmm.
insensible,
Desensitized. Yeah.
desensitized,
Mm-hmm.
because I saw it every day.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And when we went to the market or something like that, I mean, it's so prevalent
Yeah.
and very visible in
Yeah.
Cambodia. In France, it was definitely, of course, it exists, but it's not in your face.
Yeah.
Where in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh, there's whole neighborhoods that are very, very poor, where you can really, really see the difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you will interact with them kind of on a daily basis, as in France you'd have to go like to some areas,
Mm-hmm.
if you to some, let's say, underprivileged areas. But in Cambodia you would just like switch to another street, and then you'd like buy something from a lady, and then you would really get to interact with both worlds
Uh-huh.
every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because now I live abroad for since I was 18 now, so it's been 6 years, and I would go home to Cambodia because my parents are still there, like once a year, let's say, and then I have a different reaction to it because then it's not something I'm used to anymore,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, it's definitely tough, and I definitely let's say I would, for example, just small things like I would leave more tips or things like that that I would never do
Yeah.
when I was living there.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Um, So, I mean, it's small. It doesn't change anything at all, but it does
It does.
change the way I react to it. Yeah, yeah. Or I let them rip me off a bit. It's fine. I speak Khmer, but it's
I
really
know it's
okay.
just the dollar or two. It's a big difference for them, but not so much for us, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure.
you studied abroad after high school. Where did you go?
I started in Switzerland. I didn't really like it. I'm
Really?
not a mountain girl. I don't know. I don't see Cambodians in the mountains. It's weird. Like I
It's
don't
oh my
ski,
goodness, it's hilarious. That's hilarious because
right?
I live in Vancouver and I live in the city of North Vancouver, which is just across the bridge in the
Hmm.
North Shore, and the mountains are right behind me. And everyone thinks I go skiing, and I'm like, no, I don't like being cold. I don't
Yeah,
like it.
yeah. Exactly. Skiing is just going fast. That's it. Like with snow on your face. I don't get it. I don't.
I think I know like one or two Cambodians that do it, but that's it.
Right? There are some things that I don't see us
Yeah.
doing, and,
And
and
that's
that's one of them. So I wasn't very happy in Switzerland, but thankfully my school had basically different campuses, so I could move
uh,
around. And so I was always the new girl. Every 6 months, I was a new girl in another campus because I really wanted to do that.
yeah.
I was like, my parents are paying a lot for this school. Like, might as well really take advantage of it. So I was also in Spain for a semester, in London for a semester. Then I worked. I did 2 internships in the U.S. In events. So that's where my, let's say, professional background is. My specialty was in events management.
Mm.
Yes, and then I got this job in Berlin right now. I've been in Berlin for 3 years.
Yeah,
This is my
so
fourth
did you
year.
speak English post-secondary studies?
Yeah, exactly. So my uni was in
Mm.
English.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And
And I've only worked in English as well. So this is, let's say, the first job that I have where I speak French to just professionally,
mhm.
because all of my clients are French. I'm in charge of the French market for this company in Germany. So it was also weird because obviously I grew up speaking French, but I don't sell stuff in French. I don't know, I don't. I never worked in French. I was always working in English. So internally within the company, obviously with my colleagues, we speak
Uh-huh.
English. And then as soon as I talk to my clients, obviously we'll be
Yeah.
French.
Do you find yourself like
Hmm.
Googling like technical terms?
Yeah, sometimes I'm like, how do you like sign off an email in a business way? How do you say best regards?
Yeah.
I've never learned
Yeah.
this. We only learned this in English. But it's good. This is why this job is really fun for me because I get to, the company pays for my trips to
Hmm.
France to meet the customers. And that's every month. And this is where I met the huge Cambodian community in
Oh,
Paris.
cool. Cool. So
So I get to kind of like connect with that, let's say, part a bit more because, as I said, I've never lived
so
there.
you've been
Hmm.
doing this for a handful of years now. So you're really new in the you're only 24, so you're new in this career game, professional career. But
Yeah.
you started Khmer Era. Tell me about that. Like, what inspired you to do that?
I started Khmer ERA not even a year ago. It was April 2025. So it was less than a year, and I had been living in Berlin for yeah, three years almost at that time. I was really inspired by the really underground, the rave scene in Berlin. It's very known for obviously for techno, for example. Sorry, that's my dishwasher.
Hmm. That's
I
fine.
don't know if you can hear that. And I was really inspired by how the people dressed here. It's so amazing. People, it's like they're wearing costumes and they're kind of it's almost like they're characters. I love it. I got really inspired because in Cambodia, obviously, we didn't get any huge music festivals that's super international. The first concert I saw was Demi Lovato. She came to Cambodia and she gave a free concert.
Oh, wow.
We were all super surprised because obviously no one comes to Cambodia. So I wasn't very much like say experienced in the music scene. And then Berlin, it's super accessible. It's actually part of the culture here. Berlin techno is protected by UNESCO, for example.
Mm.
So that's what inspired me. And of course, being away from home, I was always more longing. You always want what you don't have. So living abroad, away from Cambodia, I was more longing to kind of somehow connect with the culture. And that's how I created my brand, Khmer ERA, which takes traditional Cambodian silk. So it's 100% handmade in Cambodia. It was really important for me to work with local Cambodian artisans.
Hmm.
And then I design clothes that are rave inspired.
You wanted to connect with your culture, but how did you, were you talking to people about this idea before, or like how did you, can you just tell me
Mm,
your process on how you got there?
yeah, so funny because I've always had some ideas on what to do since for a long time. I've always had like, oh, what about I make an app for this? I was always having ideas, but this one was the first one that I was like, oh, I can actually do it by myself because I don't know how to code, right? I would have to hire someone. And this is something that I knew that I could do. I already had resources. It's my mom's tailor for over 20 years. I know that she had the skills and stuff like that, and it was a way for me to also go back home more often.
Hmm.
And in so it was February 2025 where I went to Cambodia as always once a year to visit to visit my parents. And I created the first with my tailor. I had her made the first pieces was the vest collection, and then I quit my first job in Berlin, so I was unemployed and I was like, I'm so bored. So I launched it actually in 2 weeks. I didn't expect to in April.
So you didn't even
I
have a
launched it
plan.
with
You
the
just
first.
felt bored and you're like, okay, let's launch it.
I I had written a like small ChatGPT business
Uh,
plan, But for who to see? I don't get it. Like I'm not. I'm like all the ideas are in my head. Who am I writing this for?
Uh-huh.
So it was like planned, as in like I still like had I created the website on Shopify, because I had nothing else to do. I had like full free time,
Uh-huh.
right, while I was unemployed. So I created this brand with obviously the first collection. I had already taken, let's say, studio professional pictures when I was in Cambodia, so it was already
Uh-huh.
pre-planned. Like I just needed to launch. I just didn't expect to launch it
So
so
quickly.
early,
Yeah.
so quickly. Um, but because I wanted everything to be perfect before launching. But if you don't start, it'll never be
Yeah.
perfect, right? So I'd rather start now and perfect it later on. And that's how Khmer ERA was born in
Very
April.
cool. So what else did you try prior to Khmer Era? Because you said you wanted to code and you
Uh,
had all these other ideas. Did you implement those other ideas, or were they just kind of like, okay, you're thinking about it and then you're like, no, that's not going to work?
oh no, I don't want to code. Like that's so not my thing. I just had ideas, but I never had the time because I was working immediately right after. Yeah, I was always working right after I got my bachelor's degree. So I didn't really have time to implement anything
Hmm.
that didn't require
Hmm.
somebody else helping me.
I'm curious, with your
Yeah.
events job, did you attend a lot of festivals too? Or were the events more related
No,
to
I
something
was.
else?
Yeah, so I had two jobs in Berlin, right? I'm on my second job in Berlin. The first one was in events, marketing, branding within a company. And that means that it's not like I was organizing festivals. I was organizing events in-house for the company, marketing, community events. So it was not the same.
Mm,
In terms of festivals or concerts, I've been to a few, but in Berlin, it's like the club techno scene is so accessible
yeah.
that you don't really need to be exposed to that only if you went to festivals.
Mm, okay.
So that's how, at first, I wasn't at all. I didn't like techno at all. When I first started, my first year, I was like, why? It's just mechanic sounds. Like, why are you repairing your car in the club? I didn't get it at all. But it's an acquired taste. And
Just like Bahal.
I made, yeah. I made some friends here who I started going out with, and that's when I really truly got into it. And now it's hard to go back to commercial clubs. In Cambodia, it was just commercial clubs at
Right.
the time when I was still living there. Now the electronic music community is growing,
Mm,
which
mm.
is super nice to see. But yeah.
I want to go back to your university years and then just kind of giving me a better idea of like how you came to decide to study events management.
When I was in the French school, so until I was 18, right, in Phnom Penh, I was part of the student council.
Hmm.
Let's say the council that organizes that has a budget, and then we just organize fun events for the school. And I really really liked it, and I love the part that we get to create fun and for other people, and then not have fun with them because they were working during the events. I really like that, but I also was super inspired by rom-coms. I love rom-coms, the cheesy ones. I grew up watching them, American rom-coms. So there's always a wedding planner falling in love with the groom. And it made me want to kind of be in the wedding business. I thought it was so beautiful. So, and it was all related to events. So I'm like, okay, why not just do events so I can create all kinds of those fun activities?
Mm.
And so that was my expertise. I had a major in let's say specialization in events. So when I was working a bit, two internships in the US, that was really what I did. So social events, weddings, and all that. And honestly, I would cry every time the
Oh,
bride like walks down the aisle. Like every single client that I had, I would always cry. I'm super emotional about this stuff. And it was, I mean, it's super interesting also to see how American weddings
I
work.
was going to ask you, like, what are your
You
thoughts
know,
in each of the countries that you studied and worked in?
I would say I don't think I'm going back to America anytime soon. It was the work culture is very, very tough. I think people realize it, but it's so normal that you're expected to just only have 2 weeks of time off.
And no time
That's
off
really
after
tough.
baby's born, or it depends on your company, I
That's
guess.
insane.
Yeah.
That's really, really insane. And it was really, really tough. Also, in events, in the world of events, you are doing events on Saturday and you don't get your Monday off just because you worked on a Saturday. So I was working 6 days a week. It's super, super tough and honestly just physically
Hmm.
draining. So when I moved to Germany and I got my event job, it was so not the same. I had like labor rights, which I didn't think existed in the US.
Uh-huh.
I was super happy. Obviously, when I do, let's say, corporate events, obviously it's usually during weekdays. Yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah.
You learn a lot. I have to say that when I worked in America, in the US, it was the moment I learned the most because they just expect you. Yeah, they don't really treat you like an intern or a trainee. I had whole weddings to plan, and that's how you. Obviously, I learned so much, but I would say that
Sustainable.
um, I don't think it's physically sustainable
Mm-mm.
for me to continue
Mm-mm.
there. Yeah.
I totally get you. I feel like Canada is sort of like a hybrid between the US and Europe because
Hmm.
we're not like, it depends on the company, I think, too. But if you work on a Saturday, you kind of are expected to work on a Monday. I think it depends on the company. But, I've worked for
Hmm.
companies where I'm in the wine trade. Well, I just handed in my resignation like last week, but yeah, I'm
Oh my
unemployed. I'm
God.
unemployed right now. Well,
You're fun
yeah, I'm
employed.
fun employed as of March 11th. I'm fun employed. I'm still working, and I'm doing all the like paperwork to make sure that whoever takes over my role doesn't go in there blind.
Hmm.
But anyways, I we do a lot of events as well, like wine tastings and stuff. And on a you'll work like Friday and or Saturday, but be expected to work on Monday. And I'm just like, mm, not that it happens that often, but
No.
I'm like, I'm gonna take the Monday morning off. Like, I should actually have 2 days off because I gave up my weekend. But I think it really does
Yes.
depend on the company. Like, they're kind of like, yeah, well, the company that I worked for, they're kind of like, yeah, you can take a morning off here and there in lieu of your work on the weekends. But they're not going to like formally say like, hey, you take like, they're very flexible and understand that you gave up your weekend. But I know the other companies, they'll be like, you got to work the Monday, like, we got to beat the competition. And that's why I feel like Canada is sort of a hybrid, because it just depends on the company that you work for. And we're not as, in general, like, not as like work all the time like the US is. And we have more than 2 weeks
Yeah.
vacation. Like, 2 weeks is the minimum. Most companies now will give 3 weeks minimum to start, which is, I think, still low.
That's very low.
Yeah.
We have 30 days in Germany.
Yeah.
And when you're unemployed, for example, you get 3 months of no, actually you get 1 year of how do we say unemployment
Yeah.
money? Yeah, unemployment salary.
Yeah. We have that too, but it's not a lot. Like, when you go on mat leave, it's part of unemployment and it's to a max. Like, if you made a lot of money before, you won't be making like 80% of that or 60% of that, whatever it is. But it's like, it's really
Oh,
low.
wow.
Yeah. But it's supposed to just like help you get by, right? But still, it doesn't with the cost of living now. Okay. So, yeah, the US, how long did you work there as an intern?
I was there for a year. So in total, I was in New York for 6 months during the middle of COVID. So no events. And yeah, and in DC for another 6 months,
Okay.
all within the social events
And it was all during
industry.
COVID then? Because COVID like lasted.
No, when I was it,
Okay.
it lasted way too
Yeah.
long. COVID hit right in the middle when I was in New York. It was crazy because I remember, New York being shut down and Times Square being silent. That's an experience that no one will ever get to see ever
It's like an
again. I
apocalypse.
was walking, yeah, it's crazy. I was walking in Times Square just because you were allowed to do your daily walk and stuff. It was no one. You can hear your footsteps. It's crazy. That was super crazy. But I had a nice manager that, let's say, kept my internship contract and had me do, some admin work to keep me basically in the country. Yeah.
And that's how you ended up in DC?
DC was another was I think a 1 or 2 well, yeah 1 year later because the program was like 6 months internship within 3-4 years. With DC, there was no COVID anymore, so there was like plenty of events. That's where I learned the most. Literally, like over 30 weddings I planned in within like the 6 months time frame.
Oh, wow.
That was like the toughest part.
Wow.
That was the part where I decided not to come back. Honestly.
And then how did you end up in Germany?
When I finished my studies, I was in Europe. I was in Switzerland, and I was applying everywhere in Europe. I didn't care where I was going. I just needed to make money, right? I was applying Serbia, Croatia. I don't care. I don't care where I went. And then I got this job as an event manager in Berlin. So I immediately moved. Actually, moved before I graduated. Had the best boss ever. And that's how basically my life in Berlin started because of this work opportunity. It's great. I love it here.
So how long have you been doing that?
For that first company as an event manager, I was there for 2.5 years.
Okay.
And then I got this new
Okay.
job.
And what do you do now?
Now I'm in sales, marketing, also events, but more like fairs. So it's less, but it's bigger events. That lets me travel to France very, very often.
And that's where you speak or you communicate to your
Exactly.
clients in
And
French.
Exactly. But the best part is that it allows me to see my friends because obviously, after we finished our French high school in Phnom Penh, they all went to France, most of them, because obviously you would continue your study in French, in law or whatever. And the biggest universities are in Paris, so they're all congregated there. So when I go, I see all of them again. It feels like little Cambodia again. And I've known these guys for like since we were super like toddlers, because there was only one at the time. There was only one French school in Phnom Penh, so you didn't have a choice. Like you would grow up. The school was like from first grade to 12th. So you would really grow up with all of those kids. So yeah, they're almost like, I consider them like almost like my cousins. So now I see them every month.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's super cool. We karaoke. Yeah, I love it.
I want to go back a bit to growing up. Did your dad or your mom talk about their time during the Khmer Gahom period?
My mom was too young. She was born right when it stopped. But my grandma, she's very open about what happened. She doesn't openly, as in like she doesn't talk about it if not prompted. But my sister and I were very curious, so we always ask, "Oh, what did you do? Where were you?" and stuff. So let's say we know a lot about the family history. It's not like it was hidden. My dad is also very open about it. We interrogate him all the time because it's super important. And our Khmer teacher at the French school, he encourages us to also talk about it because he knew that we were growing up in between worlds and that we might forget. So he always encourages us to talk about it with our parents. So my dad's super open about it, and some parts of some part of my family members they don't want to talk about it. I have uncles or aunts in France. When we go visit them, they refuse to talk about it like at all. They don't even watch any of the movies. They don't think it's necessary to talk about it. They just want to forget.
Aww.
And then some other family members, they talk openly about it, like my dad, and some others even create things. Like I have an aunt who wrote her book. So it's a mix of both, and it's very interesting to see that their reaction and how they continue on the story is different.
Yeah, everyone heals
So it's
differently.
true, exactly, and it's true that there are some family members where I literally don't know what happened to them because they don't want to talk about it.
Wow. Wow.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just curious because I do hear that where, they don't even know their parents' stories. And it's something that's very difficult to bring up. But I'm glad that you got to hear it from your dad and your grandmother.
Yeah.
So with Khmer Era, you're bridging the two cultures, your
Hmm.
German techno influence and the
Yeah.
Khmer heritage. Like, why vests?
The first collection is we're vests now. I've branched out, so now there's let's say robes. There's
Hmm.
weird stuff with hoods. I know it's a bit particular, but I find it fun. So I always design my stuff like they're characters,
Okay.
and yeah. So it's like, oh, you're wearing something, and now you're a character.
Yeah.
Because I mentioned that in the Berlin scene, they're almost wearing costumes. I love
Yeah.
it. Um, so now I forgot the question. Oh, the bridge. Hmm.
Yeah. It was, you're bridging the two
Why
heritage. Yeah.
vest?
Why vests? Yeah. Why did you start with vests?
So it started out with vest because I wanted something that's more simple that could be also worn just every day.
Hmm.
It's just vest, right? And it actually came to me when I was in India. I was backpacking India for a month, and I was in Rajasthan, that state. And they had the traditional vest, Indian vest, and I thought this is so cool. I could definitely see something like this be worn at
Uh-huh.
festivals in Berlin. So that's how it all came to me, and I'm like, okay, but I want to make this Cambodian, and that's how it all came.
Uh-huh. What do you hope to do
Hmm.
with Khmer Era? Like, what other collections do you hope to put out there? So you've got your hood and
Hmm.
vests.
I've got the hooded cloak. I've got the robe and the vest. I'm going back in May for almost a month
Hmm.
this May, and I'm still drawing some ideas to launch something new.
How are you managing the creating and designing of your collection and also your day job? Can you tell me what it's like? Like, what is your
Yeah,
day like?
super
Yeah.
busy, honestly, really super busy. On the weekends, this is when I have time to film content and to really work on the brand. And then during the day, I try not to work on the brand every day because it is too much, right? I also work freelance for another tech company. I do some marketing for them, so that adds more work, right? I practice Brazilian Jiu Jitsu very regularly, like almost every day after work. So that takes all of my time already. So it's really on the weekend that I get to do the creative part of Khmer Era. And I don't believe in, for me at least, I don't believe in like, let's say surprise inspiration. I don't walk on the street, I'm like, oh my god, this should be cool.
Hmm.
For me, inspiration is work. Like I need to set one day, I'm like, let's create something new, like from within this hour. Then I would research some inspiration and stuff, but it doesn't always come to me
Right.
like this sitting on the train or something.
Yeah.
It's work.
Yeah.
Hmm. That I need to set time
Yeah.
for, which is on the weekend. Hmm. And also from for characters from movies because I'm really inspired by villains.
Mm.
I love villains. I always thought that their style was super cool. It's like majestic entrance. So the hooded cloak, for example, super inspired by Dementors from Harry Potter. Honestly, or like the Death Eaters. I love villains, and I also get kind of like pieces. That's what I mean by I design the pieces like characters.
I have a question. It may seem like pretty silly, but
Hmm.
your content is funny, but there's a serious element to it, but you have this comic relief in your Instagram content. Like, do you come up with it or do you work with someone? Like, are you naturally funny?
I don't work with I don't work with anyone. I've always approached things with humor. Always. I used to be in a theater kid at the school, in the French school. We had I was how do we say, playing. Yeah, I was acting in the plays, and I always wanted the funny part. I don't know if it makes me laugh, it probably makes other people
Uh-huh.
laugh, and that's what I like. On the weekend, I make myself laugh all the time. I mean, I'm entertained. So, and I think that's really important to not always look at it as work and look at it from also your perspective. If it made me laugh, then even if it doesn't make other people laugh, I had fun making it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I always approach things with humor. I think not that I'm well, actually, I think it's probably because I have trouble approaching things with seriousness and emotions, because when you grow up in a family that doesn't deal with conflict, then it's like I have to deal with things with humor.
That makes sense. With Khmer Era, where do you see it going? Because you just started it. What's your dream with Khmer Era in like maybe a year from now? And then we'll talk about 5 years from now.
Yeah. Oh my God, that's super hard. For now, I obviously didn't expect this to meet so many people, because right now what makes me the happiest is the community that I meet. When I go to France, I meet so many other Gon Khmer, with their own little
Mm-hmm.
projects, whether it's creative or not. I'm also, this brand allowed me to hunt down other Cambodians in Berlin. That's amazing. I thought me and my Cambodian American friend were the only two. So, and then from the brand, some videos were really reaching out to the right audience. And then they were like, hey, I'm also Cambodian Berlin, let's meet. So now we're like a group of like 15 or more.
Really?
And that's awesome. Like, yeah. So now we're trying to hunt down other people. We're like, yeah, there's a new one. Let's yeah, let's just reach out to them. So it's super fun. Now we're all gonna go to the Khmer New Year at the Cambodian embassy this year, and then just celebrate
Oh,
together.
very
So this
cool.
is super valuable for me.
Do you know
That's
how,
the most valuable thing.
yeah, do you know how many, what the population is in Germany?
I know that I was told that there's 200 families who came during the war to
Mm-hmm.
Germany. I don't know really how many people that is. I just know, yeah, I met a grandma who told me it was 200 of families.
Okay.
So there isn't
There's
a
no
lot, right?
census?
And I don't, I've never checked actually. When I went to the Cambodian embassy, I asked the people working there. They also don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, I guess
Hmm.
because like Europe has open borders, and I'm not sure how that would work in terms of, because you can like live in Germany but then decide to like move to France or something, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't know also in terms of how they count it, but I literally cannot get a number for
Mm.
how many Cambodians are in Cambodia.
Mm.
I've asked a friend at the Cambodian embassy, and they don't know either.
Mhm. Is there a what?
So I'm super happy when we.
Is
Sorry.
there a what in Germany?
Yes, there is one in Cologne, and apparently that's where they do the parade
Mm.
during Khmer New Year. So there isn't one in Berlin. You'll have to go to the Cambodian embassy to meet more Cambodians and celebrate together. But in Cologne, there's a voat, there's a parade. Um, yeah, that's really cool. I've never been actually.
Oh.
Again, I thought I was the only one here. I really thought. And then apparently there's a whole uh, parties going on at the Cambodian embassy, and my friend and I were like, why did no one invite us? Like, we did not know about it.
How do you get invited?
Now we're all gonna go. Actually, you don't. You just, I don't know why I never thought of following the Facebook page of the Cambodian embassy, because they have events all the time. But now
Mm.
I know that, and that's the most valuable thing that I got from Khmer Era is the people that I meet. I'm connected with Cambodian DJs in the US, Cambodian influencers, and that's crazy. I never expected it, and that's the most fun part.
Uh-huh. You know, when I started this podcast, I knew that we were doing some good stuff, but it has opened up my world to see
Hmm.
Khmer people just doing incredible things. Like, and you're one of them. Like, you're creating this brand, and it is resonating with a lot of people too. Like, your posts are resonating with a lot of people, but your
Thank you.
clothing is very cool too. One year you want to build more community.
Hmm.
What about in the next 5 years? Like, do you see it as a major brand? Like, is that your goal, or are you just kind of taking it day by day and seeing where things go? It's your creative outlet.
Yes, I think it's let's say a healthier way to look at it, to look with the progress day by day, because I do have a full-time job. That
Mm.
is the how I finance this side hustle, Khmer ERA. So I can't lose that, obviously. But I it's hard to scale, and I will tell you why, because it's 100% handmade. It takes 3 months to make, let's say, in Khmer we say, the bun. It's the fabric, the silk fabric. It takes like 3 months because they weave it by hand. So I cannot scale that, and I want to
Mm.
keep it traditional,
Mm-hmm.
because I know that in Thailand they have factories where they make the fabric. Everything is super clean and this like really consistent,
Mm-hmm.
that they sell it. But I really want to keep the craftsmanship, because it's an art that was dying during the war, right? And not many people know how to do it. So it was really important for me to keep it handmade. Important for me to also work with local craft artisans, like my mom's tailor, to also help the local population as well, to kind of make this whole brand 100% Cambodian.
Mm-hmm.
But that means that there's limited pieces, not because I'm trying to create exclusivity, it's because I
Can't,
can't.
yeah.
We can't produce this much, and to allow mass production, we can't, and I refuse to do that anyway.
Yeah.
So that's a problem that I'll deal with later, but for now it's working.
Yeah.
And it's very, very important.
Yeah. What does your dad think about this creative outlet of yours?
He is actually
Uh-huh.
supportive. At first he's like, he honestly, my dad doesn't really care about stuff like that. He knows that I got a full-time job
That's what
and
matters.
that I sustain myself in that way. He's like, yeah, you can have your little hobbies, whatever. But when I told him that it's going really well,
Mm-hmm.
actually, it's growing super fast.
Uh-huh.
And obviously, I have the privilege that my parents are still in Cambodia, so they can help me, send the fabric to my tailor or something like that, and exchange currency, because obviously it would be euros to dollars, right? So and then when I told my parents that it's growing, they're like, oh, super cool. And then they're super helpful too. They're more active about it, and they like my videos as well. So I think they, yeah. I mean, sometimes I have one video where I force them to be in it,
Uh-huh.
and they always have fun. My grandparents are always. I don't think they understand social media in a way that, that everyone will see this,
Uh-huh.
right? Because they only think of the moment. While we film the video, we always have so much fun.
Uh-huh.
I think they're kind of having fun with it too.
Oh. Well, that's awesome that you can bring them in, and because they're a big part
Yeah,
of you. That's amazing.
for
Um,
sure.
where do you look for inspiration for yourself to keep going?
That's a very tough question, but I'm very inspired by this emergence of Cambodian creators, artists. Whether they're fashion designers, or content creators, or music artists, or even culinary chefs, or DJs out there. They're representing Cambodia, and I love it, because when I grew up, I only remember Laura Ma
Uh-huh.
being, let's say, this artist like that, rising into fame in Cambodia, who was super confident about her Cambodian and American heritage. And I feel like back then I didn't feel like there was many. Now there's a lot more, and I've met many of my Cambodian friends, whether in Berlin or in Paris. They're also having their own little artistic projects, clothing brands, or even art, and it's super cool. And that really inspires me to think that, there's actually space for us
Yeah.
there. It's not just the West that gets this stage, and we also have there's still space for us to be out there with them. And I think this is what really keeps me going. That okay, I really want to be part of this community that takes Cambodia to the international
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
stage.
I completely echo that. I just admire the younger generation for stepping up. I feel like I'm in my
Hmm.
40s, so I'm probably around the same age as your mom. But I feel like our generation, we really had to kind of navigate what our parents went through. And now we're finally coming to this sort of, I guess, renaissance era that we're in. And I
Hmm.
sometimes I feel like I'm late to the game, but I'm like, no, you know what, this is the right time, because we had to kind of figure things out ourselves, and we've planted the seeds, and now it's time for the younger generation to just propel us even further. And yeah, I want to thank you
For
for being part
sure.
of that.
Thank you. It's I think it's super important to tell our stories, and I think in general it takes time to, let's say, connect in some ways to your culture and to be interested in it, to accept it. But for me, this pull happened in my 20s, like right after I left home. But I think we have different timelines, and there's a lot of way, like lots of versions of being Khmer. I don't think you necessarily have to act on it, like create a
Right.
brand or create something about it, but it's a feeling, and I think it starts by being curious and remembering your roots.
Yeah. We should wrap up, but in terms of what you wanted people to take away from your story, what would you say are maybe one or two things?
I would say that whatever you were feeling when you were younger, the feeling of being caught in between those two worlds and not really having an answer,
Hmm.
that this awkward phase, it will actually become the most interesting thing about your story and the source of your inspiration and conversations. It drives a lot of the things that I do. It's this whole growing up between two cultures that is inspiring a lot of projects I'm doing. And I think it's important to remember that I still don't have an answer. I still don't know what to say and what is the most accurate to say when people ask me where I'm from and what do I feel most like. I still don't have an answer, and it's okay. And it fuels the creative. It's a creative outlet for me to create something, and I think it's important to remember this.
Well, Marie, I really enjoy following your journey. I know it's just
Thank
starting.
you.
I look forward to seeing more of your posts and having you share more of your funny stories. But yeah, thank you so much for your time, Mon.
Thank you so much.
At only 24, Marie is such an inspiration. I'm excited to see what she has in store for us. So she did share a couple days ago on Instagram that she's working on something new for Khmer Era. I can't wait to see it, and we're cheering you on, Marie. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it on Instagram and tag Khmer Voices and Khmer Era. I want to say Sam for listening again, and we will be back in 2 weeks with another episode of Khmer Voices.